Just imagine being only 16 years old, a high school sophomore, and not just the number one player in your class, but widely recognized as the best high school basketball player in the country, regardless of age. You were younger than nearly everyone else in the spotlight, and still considered better than future number one picks like Cade Cunningham and Paolo Banchero. You were so gifted that in 2020, scouts agreed that if NBA rules allowed it, you would have gone number one in the draft ahead of Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball. That was the reality of Emoni Bates, a generational prospect who Sports Illustrated once anointed as the best high school player since LeBron James. His name appeared on the cover alongside legends, with the headline Magic, Mike, LeBron, and the 15-year-old who's next in line. To put this into perspective, only 3 high school players had ever appeared on the cover before him. LeBron James, who went number 1 in the NBA draft, Jabari Parker, and Andrew Wiggins, who both went top 2 and were expected to carry the torch as the new LeBron and Carmelo of their generation. And then there was Emoni Bates, who was projected to be the number 1 pick in the 2023 NBA draft. Recruiting sites even built mock drafts around a potential eligibility rule change that would allow high school players to leap directly to the NBA, and if that happened, Bates was locked in at number 1. He wasn't just another top prospect. He was at the very top of a list that included Paolo Banchero, Jabari Smith Jr., Chet Holmgren, and even Victor Wembanyama, who is now considered the face of the league. In 2020, Bates sat above them all, yet here we are years later. Wembanyama is dominating the NBA and being hailed as a once-in-a-lifetime talent under the age of 25, while Bates is fighting just to prove he belongs in the league. When people discuss busts, the conversation usually centers on number 1 overall picks like Anthony Bennett or Markelle Fultz, but expectations matter, and no one carried heavier expectations than Emoni Bates. To go from arguably the greatest high school player ever to struggling for a roster spot in the NBA is one of the biggest falls from grace in basketball history. The hype surrounding Bates was not fabricated. From an early age, he was simply more advanced than his peers. As a 7th grader, he was already ranked the number 1 player in his class, averaging 46 points per game in grassroots circuits. He wasn't even in high school yet, but was torching elite competition. His high school debut only cemented the legend, 32 points and 15 rebounds as a freshman. That wasn't an outlier, it was the standard. He led his team to regional and state titles, hitting game-winning shots and playing like a man among boys. By the end of that year, he was Michigan's Gatorade Player of the Year, Max Prep's Freshman of the Year, and widely considered the best high school prospect since LeBron James. The accolades piled up. When Kobe Bryant tragically passed away, Bates switched his jersey to number 24. He wanted to honor Kobe by scoring 24 points in his next game, but that was too easy. So instead, he scored 42. Weeks later, he dropped 63 points and 21 rebounds in a single game. For the season, he averaged over 32 points, 9 rebounds, and nearly 3 assists while shooting above 50% from the field and close to 40% from deep. He was named the Gatorade National Player of the Year, the youngest player ever to win it, and the first sophomore in history to do so. By now, he wasn't just a top prospect. He was being groomed as a future superstar. ESPN ranked him among the top 5 high school players since LeBron, alongside Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, and Derrick Rose. Every player on that list went on to be a number 1 overall pick or superstar. Bates was still just a sophomore, and many expected him to eventually top that list. For his junior year, he transferred to a prep school and immediately proved he could still dominate against older, more hyped competition, dropping 36 points against Chet Holmgren. But this was also when scouts began to notice something troubling. They felt his development had stalled. Was he stagnating, or had expectations been set so impossibly high that even greatness looked underwhelming? To accelerate his path, Bates reclassified, skipping his senior year and jumping into college as the youngest player in the country at just 17. He had committed to Michigan State early, but ultimately shocked everyone by choosing Memphis under Penny Hardaway. That decision, in hindsight, may have been the turning point of his downfall. He debuted strong with 17 points, but it was all downhill from there. Inconsistent play, poor shooting, and a lack of rhythm haunted him. He averaged fewer than 10 points a game, shooting under 40% from the field. The once next Kevin Durant label vanished. By mid-season, he wasn't even on mock drafts anymore. After transferring to Eastern Michigan, things went from bad to worse when he was arrested for carrying a firearm without a license. Though he avoided a prison sentence, the damage to his reputation was severe. Scouts no longer saw him as a safe bet, but as a troubled project. Still, Bates kept working, and in his sophomore season at Eastern Michigan, he reminded the world of his raw talent with scoring explosions, 30 against Michigan, 43 in another game, and multiple 35-plus point outings. He finished averaging nearly 20 points a game, showing flashes of the unstoppable scorer he once was. That set the stage for the 2023 NBA Draft. Bates impressed in shooting drills at the combine, but raised red flags with his wingspan, size, and athletic testing. Once projected as a future #1 overall pick, he fell all the way to the 49th pick, where the Cleveland Cavaliers took a gamble. In Summer League, Bates reminded people why he was special. He averaged double figures, hit clutch threes, and even helped lead the Cavaliers to the Summer League championship, making the All-Summer League second team. The hype flickered again. But reality set in once the NBA season began. On a deep Cavs roster built to win now, Bates saw limited minutes, spending most of his time in the G League. There, he thrived, averaging over 21 points and showing his scoring ability still translated. But it raised questions. Was he too good for the G League, but not quite good enough for the NBA? The story of Emoni Bates is unfinished, but it is already one of basketball's most fascinating tragedies. He was anointed as the next LeBron, treated as a surefire superstar, but thrown into situations that exposed his flaws instead of nurturing his strengths. Scouts fixated on his wingspan and athletic limitations, while overlooking the fact that few players in the world can create and hit shots the way he can. Perhaps the biggest issue is fit. Bates was drafted into a Cleveland team chasing wins, not development. He needs to be in a situation like Charlotte, Washington, or Utah, where he can make mistakes, play through them, and grow into the player many still believe he can become. At only 21 years old, his career is far from over. But time is ticking. If he doesn't break through soon, he will go down not just as a bust, but as the biggest what-if in high school basketball history. And that would be the ultimate tragedy for a player who was once deemed the best prospect since LeBron James. What do you think? Can Emoni Bates still live up to his potential, or has the window already closed? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of basketball's most fascinating stories, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss the untold stories of rising stars, fallen legends, and the game we all love.